Hi, you're listening to This Is Not Your Practice Life. I'm your host, Renae, and we are going on a journey together, my friends. I'm a certified life and emotional intelligence coach. And if you really want to step into your highest self, there are a few non-negotiables you're going to have to learn, and I am just the person to help you do it. No matter your past, I'm here to help you create a more fulfilling future. So stick around with me. Not only will I teach you how to navigate your brain's daily mind drama, but I'll help you actually understand your mind, your emotions, why you do the things you do, and why others do the things they do. Most importantly, I'll help you build the self-awareness skills to create whatever results you want. It's never too late to change the trajectory of your life. After all, this is not your practice life. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. My name is Macy, and I'm so excited that you're joining me today. If you're brand new here, welcome to the podcast. And if you're a returning listener, thank you for being here for all 200 plus episodes. You're the real MVP, and I appreciate you. All right, you guys, Happy New Year. It's January 1st, 2024. I cannot believe it. I don't know about you guys, but for me, 2023 flew by. It, of course, held very high highs and some very low lows. And I had to really feel some big feelings for my very low lows, which felt awful. But thank God, emotional intelligence, it helped us get through. It was not easy, but I survived. And my high highs were, moments that brought me to tears with gratitude and joy. So I really have nothing to complain about. I'm very grateful. But I will say that if your 2023 was challenging and you just feel like you spent it in survival mode and worked really hard, you felt like you had to be really strong and it just whooped your ass, I will tell you that my hope and prayer for you is that 2024 is your year, your comeback, that it is your year of prosperity and joy and love and fulfillment and all things good, health, wealth, everything that you want. And please just take this reminder that if you want any of those things, that you have to go out and create it, right? Like, things don't always happen just because we want them to. We have to be the creator of it, which very much is in line with today's episode. We're going to go back to what I like to call the bare butt basics and bring us back to tools that I taught at the very beginning of this podcast 200 episodes ago. Okay, because I think the more information that we gain and the more knowledge that we have, sometimes, everything else becomes like the shiny addition, like the add-on, which is helpful. But it really means nothing if we don't come back to our basic foundational skills. And that's what we're going to do on today's episode. Really quickly, before we do that, I have to throw this quick announcement in. So if you're not interested, just fast forward. But it's January 1st, which means that early bird enrollment is open for my program, The Hybrid Experience. The Hybrid Experience is my 6-month advanced emotional intelligence program where we really do a deep dive into getting your emotional intelligence where it needs to be for you to create the results that are important for you, the results you really want in your life, no matter if that's personal or professional. And we also really work on you having more precision with how your mind works, right? Being able to recognize your self-sabotaging patterns and being able to overcome those much more quickly so that you can stay on track with what's important to you and you don't spiral in all of the self-sabotaging behaviors that we sometimes do. So it's an advanced level program, and I launched it last year for the very first time. I did 2 rounds. It really was a lot for me as an entrepreneur. It pushed me and grew me in ways that I cannot explain, but it was also the best decision I have ever made. It came to me in 2022 and I sat on it and I just continued to coach my one-on-one clients and, have it in the back of my mind and work really hard behind the scenes to make it possible in 2023. And I'm really proud of the way that it has, transpired. And so while I did want to do it again in 2024, I wanted to give myself more time and space, a little bit of a break, time to, revise the workbook and put in some things that would be helpful for the next round. And in addition, I decided I wanted to go big and I wanted to do an international retreat rather than a local US retreat. And so, with that being said, our next round will start in July of 2024 and it will end December 18th, which is perfect because it will allow you to go into the holiday season of Christmas Eve, Christmas, and New Year's being fully present with your family and friends. And then on January 8th of 2025, you will hop on a plane and you will fly to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, where you will have a 4-night all-inclusive coaching retreat that is already included in the price you pay for your 6 months of coaching. Okay, so it's a total steal. And right now I am offering what is called early bird enrollment. So originally enrollment was not going to open for this round until March. But I got a lot of feedback that there were people that wanted to be in this room, but they needed a lower monthly payment plan and a good amount of time to pay for it. So I took that into consideration and I decided, you know what, if I go ahead and I open an early bird enrollment in January, it will allow people the longest amount of time to pay it off and the lowest amount of money per month to be able to put themselves in this room. And so it's $850 a month if you join anytime in January. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I know that there have been people who've wanted to put themselves in this room. And really the only caveat that I have is that if you wait, you're just risking, the program filling up. Or not being able to use the lowest monthly payment plan that's going to be available. So if you wait past January, you can still join as long as there are spots. It's just that your lowest monthly payment plan, if you need a payment plan, is going to start in the $1,000 something range. It's not going to be $850, okay? So I just wanted to throw that out there so that you can plan accordingly and figure out what's going to be the absolute best thing for you. All right, let's dive into today's episode, shall we? Let's talk about going back to what I called the bare butt basics, and that is the fact and the reminder that your brain, your mind, is your most valuable asset. I was thinking about this driving in my car about how if someone held me hostage or had my back up against a wall. Why my brain goes to these extremes, I have no idea, but it did. And it was just a random car thought, but I thought, if someone held my, back against the wall and they were like, there's only one thing that you could invest in the rest of your life, right? Only one thing. And let's say your bare basic needs are taken care of. So food, shelter, water, all of that is taken care of. And they were basically you have the luxury of deciding one thing you can spend money on for the rest of your life. For me, it would always be my mind. It would always be my brain. And the reason being is that your brain is the most valuable asset that you have. Your brain not only controls everything, but it creates everything. So thinking about this, everything that happens in your body, your heart beating, your ability to blink, your ability to talk and formulate words, move your limbs, right? Your hands, your legs, your fingers, your toes, your digestion, all of that is the power of the brain. You don't even have to think about it. Same thing with our subconscious thoughts. We don't have to think about those things. They just come automatically. And then there are the conscious thoughts that we have that can be our greatest creators, right? Really consciously deciding, I want things to change. I want to leave that toxic relationship. I want to make more money. I want a thriving business. I want to start a podcast. I want to be a present parent. I want to be a more patient parent. I want to be more emotionally intelligent. Your brain is the organ that is able to think all of that up, but then more importantly, create the guidelines and the steps for you to be able to go and achieve it. So arguably for me, it's the most valuable asset that any of us have. And the most important thing that you could focus on because it creates everything. Your thoughts are what generate the emotions that you feel in your body. And the emotions that you feel in your body then drive actions you take or don't take in your life. And actions that you take or don't take in your life are what create the results that you end up getting in your life. So for instance, if you have the thought, I'm going to be stuck at this job I hate for the rest of my life. How many of you have said that? I'm going to be stuck at this job that I hate for the rest of my life. Okay, that's a thought that your brain generated. And again, your thoughts create your emotions. If you have a thought like, I'm going to be stuck at this job I hate for the rest of my life, you might feel defeated. Well, because you feel defeated, that's going to dictate your next action. So it's going to dictate how you respond to that emotion. If you feel defeated, you're probably going to either keep things the same, depending on the type of person you are, right? Defeat doesn't feel really good. It's not a motivating emotion for a lot of us. It's very much the opposite. It's like, what's the point, right? And so if that is how you're feeling, the likelihood is that your action would be do nothing about it but complain. And if you do nothing about it but complain, what result do you get? You stay at the job that you hate for X amount of more years, right? But if you're like, I cannot be at this job anymore, I have to change something, and you feel motivated or inspired, that's a different emotion. Again, your emotions then drive your actions. And if you feel inspired or motivated, you might start looking for jobs, applying for jobs, interviewing for jobs, which can result in a brand new job and getting yourself out of that toxic or unhappy work environment. So your thoughts are everything, right? It is the reason people will stay stuck in the same situation they're in for years or get themselves out. It's the reason people stay the same or they grow. It's the reason people, feel a bunch of emotions that suck and swirl in it forever and self-sabotage, or start changing things to make their life feel like what they want it to feel like. I had no idea when I was obviously a young teen or a young adult before I found coaching, that my mind was so powerful. And what is so crazy is that I spent 17 years sitting in a variety of therapist, counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist chairs, and none of them ever taught me about the brain. None of them, right? It was always something like, well, that's, what happens with trauma. And when you've had trauma, your brain changes. Like that was the extent of it. And then that's how you're going to be. But we can, put you on medicine and that'll take the edge off and you'll feel better. I had no idea that I could actually heal. I had no idea that I could actually change the way that I felt, which then would change my actions, which then would give me different results. And this is what I mean. So it's been probably over, 200 episodes since I've really gone into the importance of your mind and your mindset. Like it's the difference between wanting something and having something, your mind, and the stories that your brain tells you of whether you can have it or you can't. And that is why it's such an important asset to constantly put your time and effort and energy and sometimes even money into, because whatever you're looking at as your reality right now in your life, if there's something you're not happy with, if there's something you're wanting to change, the number one thing that will kickstart the change of all of it is going to be your self-awareness, which is a byproduct of your thinking, aka how your mind operates, aka your brain. Okay? So important. So when I discovered my coach, and I discovered her in 2016 was when I was introduced to her, my mind was blown. My mind was blown instantly at the thought of like, I can create something different. Like I can do something different with my life. I don't have to worry about what people think. I don't have to people please. I don't have to feel miserable the rest of my life just because of my trauma. I don't have to be mad at people that caused the trauma for the rest of my life. Like it's a choice. I had no idea. I had no idea the power of my brain and the freedom that was waiting for me on the other side. And what we take for granted is that freedom for you on the other side, like the healing that is available to you, the change in your mindset, the skills that you develop, the emotional intelligence that you gain from working on your mind, creates a level of freedom in which there's less stress in your body, there's less anxiety in your life, and therefore your health is so much better overall. Because what is the silent killer of our body, of, our health? It's stress. Stress and a constant release of cortisol actually changes your gene expression. And when your gene expression changes, you make your body susceptible to things like cancer, autoimmune disorders, all of that. There's so much research on the negative, factors of stress and increased cortisol. And for a lot of us as humans, we're walking around as walking balls of stress, having no idea that we can change it, that we don't actually have to feel that way, and that we don't actually have to live that way. That our brain, if we use it correctly and we invest in it properly and we nurture it properly, that we can change the entire trajectory of our life. We can change generations. We can heal generations. There's so much that we can do. Like your brain, it can make or break the amount of money that you make in your job, right? Because if someone has the mindset, I'll never get a promotion, that's probably true. Not because they can't actually get a promotion, but because they don't believe that they can. They're not operating as the person who will get a promotion. They're not living in that version of themselves, right? They're not embodying the work that would help them get a promotion. They're complaining. They're in a negative kind of energetic vibration or spiral, if you want to think of it that way, right? It's like we self-sabotage daily when we're not being hyper aware of our mind and how it works and remembering that it creates the results we get. We blame it on outside circumstances. We blame it on other people. We wallow in self-pity. We feel sorry for ourselves. There's a lot that we do instead of take our power back. And taking our power back is looking at what's going on in our mind. How is it making us feel? What are we doing based on how we feel? And are we getting the results we want? And if the answer is no, we need to start with the bare butt basics, as I like to say, and figure out what the heck is happening inside of our mind. So for instance, I've worked with clients who have been mad at their parents for, let's say, decades, for most of their life, for things that happened in childhood. And it's affected their relationship with them today, right? Because every time they think those thoughts about their parents, it creates emotions, and those emotions drive their actions, and those actions create the results of the relationship that they have with their parents. And a lot of them come to me and they're like, this is not what I want. This isn't the relationship I want with my parents. This isn't how I want to feel about them or around them. Like, I actually would like to feel this way instead, right? Peaceful, or just, happy to be around them, even if there is a history there. And so the first thing that we get started on are what's going on with their brain. What is their brain telling them about their parents? How is that making them feel? We look at their emotional intelligence and why maybe they're getting stuck in the patterns of their brain that they're getting stuck in. And then we get to work. And this can be applied to anything, any area of your life, right? People will come to me and they're like, I'm yelling at my kids too much. I'm not making the amount of money I want to be making in a year. I'm not signing the amount of clients I want to be signing. My business is not doing what I want it to be doing. I don't feel good about myself. I keep breaking promises to myself. I'm not working out. I'm not eating healthy. I keep eating crap. I keep doing things I don't want to be doing. The most important thing that we can do is get really clear on why. And the way that we get really clear on why is by understanding what's going on in the brain and making sure that they have the tools, or you have the tools, to be able to change the things that are not working in favor of what you want. Okay? So I have to just scream this on January 1st when everybody is setting new resolutions and how you want your year to go. It absolutely can go that way. But what I want you to know also is that your brain really likes comfort and it works on autopilot. It's the most self-sufficient thing that our brain can do, right? That's how it was designed. Learn something, learn a behavior, learn a pattern, and keep doing that pattern. It doesn't matter if it's a self-sabotaging pattern or if it's a really good habit, right? Someone who has the habit of working out and eating healthy, that's amazing. But they had to train their brain to do that, to get on autopilot that way. The same thing with someone who eats junk and who doesn't work out and, who complains all the time. That's also an autopilot mechanism of their brain. It's a program in their brain, and they had to train it to be like that. And so with that being said, when you want something to be different, you have to know your brain is going to have resistance. It doesn't want you to change. It wants to do what's easiest for it. And what's easiest for it is changing nothing. The least amount of effort possible is what is easiest for our brain. It's like, you know what? It's easier to keep eating donuts and not working out than to go work out. And then we self-sabotage. And then we start, with the stories of like, I'm not good enough. I'm not like, I always quit. I always break promises to myself. And then we wallow in the self-pity. And then we feel horrible emotions. And then it drives our actions, which usually means I'm not going to do anything at all because I'm a horrible person and I hate myself. And then we get the result of looking at year after year after year of being in the same place and almost being disgusted with our life, but not disgusted enough to change it. And this is how I lived for a really long time before I knew that my mind was such a powerful thing. And when I realized how powerful my mind was, I got so disgusted with myself. But I also loved myself enough to decide to make changes. So it was the day that I call it my day of drawing my line in the sand of I'm done. I can't keep living like this. I have to do something different. And I have to know that my brain is going to fight me on it because my brain wants me to do what's easiest. And what's easiest right now is also making my life the hardest. And I want a life that feels really good for me. So my brain is going to have to be uncomfortable. My mind is going to have to learn new things. I'm going to have to train it to do new things. And it's going to feel like ass in the process. But once it becomes a program in who I am, my life is going to look so much different. And it does. And it continues to look that way because I have never stopped this work. I'm constantly working on my mind. So if someone did have my back up against the wall and they were like, there's only one thing you can, invest in or work on yourself on, or, one thing you can focus on, I would always choose my mind. Because that means no matter what happens in the world, no matter what catastrophes we may face, hardships, I know if I have my mind, I have everything. I also know if I have my mind, no one can take it from me. It's mine. Everything that I program it with is mine. No one can rob me of that. When I have the emotional intelligence skills and the mindset skills to overcome any challenge that arises in my life, that is invaluable, right? That is worth everything. Everything. Like I honestly, there are times when I'm like, I seriously think that I survived 2020. We all know what happened in 2020 because of the work that I had put in with my mind. And it still traumatized me. Let me just say, like 2020, I think for a lot of people was a very traumatizing year and, just created a lot of anxiety and uncertainty and depression and fear for a multitude of reasons. And I really think if I didn't know the power of my mindset, it would have consumed me and it would have swallowed me whole. And my life, like the amount of stress that I would have carried just would have been so life-altering in a very terrible way. But I knew the power of my mind and the tools that I have learned. And I knew that no matter what happened in the world and how horrible it got, nobody could take away my mind. Nobody could take away my emotional intelligence, right? Nobody could rob me of that. And that if everything else in life fell apart, I would know what to do because of how much I've nourished and nurtured my mind. So arguably, I would say that it is the most important asset that we have, and sometimes we forget the power of it. So I want to leave you with this, that if you have already set what you want your 2024 to look like, that you can have it. You can have it. But you have to stay on top of your brain because your brain is going to want to go back to all of the patterns that don't serve you, all of the patterns that it has been doing for the longest amount of time. So if you want to work out and eat healthy and have the body of your life by the end of 2024, I want you to know your brain is going to make it really hard because it's going to use all of the past evidence for when it hasn't worked, right? When you stopped going to the gym, when you did good for 3 months, but then you got off track. That's where it's going to try and go. It's going to try and take you off track. And you're going to have to overcome that thinking and be like, no, brain, we're doing things differently. We're becoming a different version of ourselves. We're becoming better. We're going to be consistent in this particular area of our life. And that means you're going to have to feel some real discomfort as we eat this healthy quinoa salad, right? Or as we work out on the Stairmaster the next 20 to 30 minutes. And we're going to do it, right? I'm even working with my brain on how I'm going to work on my health this year. Okay. So I'm going to have to feel a lot of uncomfortable things. And I know that. And a part of it is just the awareness of knowing that and still choosing to do the thing that's going to feel uncomfortable, but get you ahead. So if you're like, I want to leave my toxic job by the end of the year, you can do that. I want to make more money. You can do that. I want to get a promotion. You can do that. You absolutely can do that. Right? I want to, change my relationship with so-and-so. Very possible. You can't control them, but you can control you. Right? That's the thing. It's all about the skills you will develop and you will work on. And that all begins and ends with your brain, your mind. It's your most valuable asset. Every time you have doubts, that's your mind. Every time you have belief, that's your mind. Every time you feel motivated and excited, that's your mind. Every time you don't, that's your mind. And what tools and what skills do you have to keep yourself on track? That's what's so important. So if you know that you need some help with your mind and that you could use some accountability and you could use some cheerleading and you could use some support and you could use someone seeing your brain take a hard left and try to take you off track subconsciously, like if you know that your brain's going to do that or has a good probability of doing that and you're not going to see it before it's too late, that is where coaching can be so valuable in your life, to spot everywhere you're self-sabotaging and to get you back on track. All right. I hope this is helpful. It's been a hot minute since we focused solely on mindset, solely on the value of your brain and how this is your most valuable asset. And so I hope that it was helpful. If nothing else, go back to your mind. Okay. Because your mind is going to be your powerhouse. It's going to be the creator of everything, the start of everything. Everything that you change and everything that stays the same starts in your mind. So if you want something different, you're going to have to do the work to do different things. All right. And if you need help with it, that's what I'm here for. That's what coaching is so amazing for. All right. So reach out if you need anything. You can schedule a free consult at MacyRenae.com. We can talk about what best option is there for you. And if you want to move forward, we will. And if you don't, that's okay too. Maybe there's someone else out there that's also a more amazing fit, and that's totally okay. As long as you're happy in your life and getting what you want, that's what matters most to me. Okay. All right, you guys, Happy New Year. I will see you guys again next week. Have a great day. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. If you'd like to connect on social media, you can find me on both Instagram and Facebook at Macy Renae Coaching. And if you want to stay up to date on all of my offers, announcements, and inspirational emails, you can join my email list at MacyRenae.com. In addition, if there's a way that I can further support you in your coaching journey, you can schedule a free 60-minute consult at MacyRenae.com anytime you want so we can discuss the best options for you. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.